Hello and welcome back to the crypto simulation. I'm the Gaussian Snake, and tonight I'm going to be talking about Aerodrome and Velodrome, doing a price update. It's been a little while since I've done videos on these. Before I begin, just a reminder, nothing in this video is intended to be financial advice. All price predictions are for entertainment purposes only. I also want to encourage you to join my free Telegram group. Link is in the description, the Snake Pit. We have about 175 people in that group right now, and most of them are Aerodrome holders and Velodrome holders as well. So you'll be in good company. You click the link to join. Look forward to having you there. All right, let's get started. So Aerodrome, I actually did my first video back when it was down here. Sadly, I don't own any. I never have. And I do regret that, but it's too late now for me. But I'm still going to cover this coin. I also did another update video. I've done a few. So can you believe that Aerodrome is going on its 9th green week in a row? So if you have any doubts about the Base ecosystem and how incredibly strong it is, I probably wouldn't have those doubts. So Aero did spend a little time getting stuck in this green region, if you want to call it much time, just a couple weeks. And it is now, with Bitcoin going up, Aerodrome has also been going up as well and is going to be testing the $2 price region again. So what can we expect in the coming weeks and months with this asset? Well, Aerodrome on the daily has spent a little bit of time consolidating underneath its 10-day HMA, or whole moving average, and it was underneath its brand new, just formed 50-day whole moving average, and also its 20-day whole moving average, but it just blasted right through that earlier today, and it's forming another green candle on top of that. So this looks very strong at the moment, and we see all these averages starting to turn up, and they could definitely stack up and lead to another leg up for Aerodrome, which, believe it or not, was not my base case at this level where we were at $2. I felt like we would get a pretty swift rejection. We did see a pretty nice retracement off of the top. Let's go see exactly what that was. Because we're on a logarithmic scale, it doesn't look that dramatic. But we had, a 30% correction, which in terms of like brand new altcoins is really not much of a collection. But this is not any altcoin. This is the DEX for Base, along with, Velodrome. These two are just absolute beasts in the ecosystem. So let's take a look at some more technicals and see where Aerodrome might go from here. On the weighted Bollinger Bands on the daily, this is a really nice bounce, a convincing bounce off of it, and it looks like the Bollinger Bands are getting ready for a bigger move. Let's take a look at the weekly, see what we see over there. If we can even get weighted Bollinger Bands. I don't know if we have enough data. I guess we don't. Maybe we can go to a 3-day? Barely. There's barely any data. It makes these coins hard to analyze. On the 2-day, we can see we're just floating right above it, and it looks like a bigger move is coming. This is great news that it's been holding the line, especially on the daily. Like if we go back to that, and you can see Bollinger Bands are squeezing, and usually when that happens, bigger move is coming. If we're above the orange line, the likelihood is that move is already beginning, and it could be an upward move. Now in terms of simple moving averages, which are a little bit more lagging, we can see on the daily that we're again stacked above all of these. We just bounced right up. Very impressive. This looks like a little flag that happened. I mean, the consolidation periods for Aero are so short. It's like if you don't get in when it's consolidating, it just blasts off again. And look at where it bounced, right at the 20-day. Now, I do want to point something out. This asset is not going to go up forever. And the fact that we're even testing the 20-day does point to this huge, massive bull trend will eventually probably have some kind of slowdown that's longer than a few days. It can't just keep trending up forever. But like as of right now, if we go to the lows of Aerodrome, we'll say just around here, we are already pretty much testing this high. That was like a 25x off the bottom. So we're already back at, around 24x or so at $1.98 as I'm making this video. So this is some incredible movement. Let's take a look under the hood and see what some of the indicators say about Aerodrome. Now it's impossible to tell. This is the 4-hour time frame, but you can see that we put in a triple bottom from late March to early April, and that's what we're bouncing off of. Now the question is, can we take out this previous high or does this just end up being a double top? And if it does end up being a double top, I do expect that to be bearish for AERO going forward. AERO hasn't really had much in the way of bearishness at all. But if we do manage to take out this high, which is a little higher up, I think, right around here, if we do manage to take out that high that we are currently testing as I'm making this video, and then back test it, and then we could go much higher. So is this a double top? We don't know. We don't know yet. So we need to see if we're able to hold this level and push higher, or and the weighted Bollinger Bands certainly seem to suggest that that is possible and probable. So that would invalidate the double top. So we just, maybe by the time you're watching this, we'll know the answer to it. So perhaps this is a very telling chart. This is the daily ADX and DI. I can't pull up a weekly one. We just don't have enough data. And we can see that the bull's trend is weakening. It is weakening. You see these spikes in the green DI are getting lower and lower, whereas the red DI is staying relatively constant. So I'm telling you, like, Aerodrome is not going to just keep going up forever. The trend strength right now is still very strong at 65, and I would anticipate that this would also continue to drop to follow this pattern on the way down. So while it may be bullish in the short term and we could see another spike upward here, I don't know if it's going to successfully test this all-time high or not. It's very close to doing so right now and taking it out. It very well may. But I would anticipate that we're going to have to kind of trend down here with the green DI, meaning that if you go back to the chart, what you're going to kind of see is that the chart is starting to round out a little bit, right? I can't really, explain this to you any better than just kind of drawing. That's not a great drawing, but you get the idea. Like, I'm drawing like a logarithmic regression trend line. Let me see if I can do that again. It's kind of hard to draw on here, but something along like that, where you get this initial blast of growth, and then the next leg up is not quite as strong, the next leg up is not quite as strong, and so on, until you kind of flatten out and maybe go down a little bit, just to kind of digest all this. Even if that happens, and I do suspect that will happen, I don't know where we're going to find our ultimate top, if it's going to be closer to $3 or $2.50. Like, I have no clue at the moment, just staring at this, but I think that AERO is going to need some kind of cool-off period that goes beyond this. And you can see that starting to materialize in the ADX as the ADX starts to trend down, and the white ADX, and the DI also starts to trend down. That is sort of a sign that maybe some of this extreme bullishness is starting to cool off a little bit, which is healthy, right? We don't want this thing just going straight up, because then it's going to suffer a severe correction. The nice thing about AERO is it hasn't just blasted straight up, although this first move was quite impulsive. It has taken time to digest these moves and then consolidate. What you're seeing is like flag after flag after flag, or you could just see this as one giant flag. And so we're starting to see the logarithmic regression play out with the bull trend starting to slow down. Now, the average sentiment oscillator shows us that we were actually heading in a bearish direction. This is bearish convergence, but then look what happened. We got bullish divergence. So I'm not really anticipating that we see this shoot off to the upside. I think this is another leg up in a very diminished way, right? So this keeps putting in lower highs. So I am anticipating that AERO will go through a corrective phase. All coins have to, and like I said, it would be healthy for it to do that, perhaps relatively soon. The RSI and stochastic RSI have been just fiercely strong. I mean, look at this, just spending all this time. Again, this is on a daily. It's really hard to find data on higher time frames, but just spending all this time of these upper levels, and then we had a drop in the stochastic to around 50. It just bounced right back up. Again, this can't last forever. This will have to burn out eventually, and we'll start to head out into an oversold direction. Speaking of overbought and oversold, one indicator I'd really like to take a look at is the MFI oscillator volume profile. You can see that the daily time frame doesn't really give that great of data, but what it does show, if this is considered to be overbought, we were overbought on March 1st, and then we had a dramatic dip on March 15th. We had a bounce up, but this is a dead cat bounce. Then we went down and we're bouncing, it bounced up again, and we're probably going to see this turn up, because of the move that's going on right now. What if we go down to like the 12-hour? Maybe we can see a clearer picture. I mean, I like to look at higher time frames, to be quite honest, with these kind of things. 12-hour, or maybe 18-hour might be good. Yeah, and you can see that we we went on, and again, these lower time frames are just not the best time frames to analyze something like this. But we went from overbought to oversold on an 18-hour time frame. Then we put in a lower high, and then we had a double bottom. Went way up to the top of the range again, way to the bottom, and now it looks like we're trying to come up here. Whether we get all the way to the top of the range or not, I don't know. But again, if you go to the higher time frame, maybe we can do a 2-day time frame. Wow, that's not very useful, is it? 1-day time frame, I think, well, we'll have to see where this goes. Like, we'll have to see if this puts in like a bottom and then trends back up, or if it just starts to go back down. At some point, people are going to start selling this asset. I just don't know exactly when. I have to say that Aerodrome has one of the healthiest looking charts of any altcoin I've seen. So I decided, because of the difficulty in analyzing this coin right now, that what I wanted to do was run a logarithmic regression channel through 62 days of data, which covers most of its history. It should be a fairly good fit. And you can see that Aerodrome has made it as high on the daily as 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. So keep in mind, all my log charts are generally plus or minus 3 standard deviations with increments of 0.5, right? So this is, each blue line is 0.5, so this is 0.51, 1.5. So we've made it to the 1.5, and right now we're testing the 1. Remains to be seen if we get rejected or if we have follow through. It's not uncommon for altcoins to hit the +3 on the daily. It's not uncommon, in fact, even go to +4 or even higher on their first go around. AERO hasn't done that yet. In fact, if you look at AERO's beam risk down here, it's in the hold zone. Like, it has yet to even on the daily get into the profit taking region. If you consider it on the daily time frame, it hasn't even done that yet. And I imagine on other time frames we might see this even lower. So AERO has had a very healthy trajectory of price development. It's built out. You could even view this whole thing as one long base. I think that AERO is going to move a lot higher this cycle. And like right now, the +3 log line, if we were to just estimate, is around $6.50. So if we were to try to estimate how high AERO could go, let's take a look and maybe do some extrapolation based off of logarithmic regression data. And for me to do that, I'm going to have to thin this out a little bit. And let's just hypothesize an end to our cycle sometime by the end of the year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a parallel channel at three standard deviations. Let's be very conservative, and let's run this out all the way to the end of the year and see what price target that might correspond to in a major altcoin blow-off top. Okay, so this is a parallel channel indicating ±3 standard deviations from the mean going all the way out to January of 2025. I have no idea how long this bull cycle is going to last. There's a lot of calls for a left translated cycle, and that very well may be the case. And there's no guarantee that AERO does make it to its +3 log regression line, although I think there's a very likely chance that it will, and we don't know when that would happen either. So it's really hard to say, but if AERO were to enter into this region and let's say hit this top line in August, for instance, early August, that would correspond to a price of about $29.58 for AERO. Again, I don't know when AERO is going to go this high, but what if we were to continue following this channel all throughout the rest of the year? You have to keep in mind that this channel will start to kind of flatten out a little bit. It's not going to just go straight up in a line like what you see here. So maybe we should look at like in this kind of region in here for more realistic price. So September, $45, $40, end of year, we could see something around $50. I mean, that seems insane, honestly, that AERO could go that high. But look at where this mean line is. Now, this mean line is not accurately drawn because, again, this is a straight line, and things don't move in a straight line with log regression. So if we look kind of below that, even the mean line is like around $30. So I can't promise you that's going to happen. I don't know. I can't predict the price. But it does show that if we follow log regression, some pretty insane prices like around $30, $40 are possible for this asset, which would represent What is that from where we are now? Like that could be like close to another 20x move, or maybe a 30x move from where we currently are. I think there's still money to be made. It's not financial advice, but you can see the power of log regression, and we've had some very healthy price movement for a brand new asset. I mean, what you don't want to see is this thing spiking way too early, and it hasn't done that. What we want to see is some consolidation, and I do think that may be coming for AERO, but we need some evidence of that. Right now, everything looks really bullish. Looking at the stochastic oscillator on the daily, it is running parallel straight up, so this is a buy signal, but I am noticing a kink starting to form here. So again, I'm not sure how much oomph this move is going to have. I think it could bring us to a slightly higher high, but I don't think we're going to be rocketing off to $3 or anything like that right now. There's just not enough room for the stochastic oscillator to do that, unless it wants to do something like this, where it just kind of goes up, down, and just it stays in this upper range. And yeah, I mean, I can't tell you if that's going to happen or not. But what I did notice is we were putting in higher lows and higher highs, and we're no longer doing that. This is a lower low. This looks like it's probably going to be a lower high. So maybe we are starting to see the signs, very early signs of a trend reversal, and that would make sense with the ADX and DI also kind of starting to weaken over time. The Gaussian filter MACD printed a trigger buy long signal. Note that it went up quite high on this last one on March 28th. So it remains to be seen how much strength that this signal has to it. But this is, when you have the channels running parallel like this, or almost parallel, and widening, this is generally a bullish sign. So I am anticipating further upward price movement for sure. That's the most likely scenario. The GF MACD is a pretty strong indicator of that. It's just, I don't think we're going to be seeing, like I said, like another 5x from here or anything like that. I think we could get ourselves well into the $2 range, 225, 230. If I had to guess, maybe somewhere around there would be a good target. I'm just saying this off the top of my head. Don't take that too seriously. Man, the wave trend oscillator just doesn't want to get out of the overbought region. Hit it on March 2nd. This is on the 12-hour because I don't have data for higher time frames. Hit it again on March 14th. Hit it again on March 28th, and maybe we hit it again in the next few days. We have yet to enter into the oversold region. It just hasn't happened. I mean, the lowest we went was on April 6th. We got to minus 13.7. So yeah, the fact that we did put in a lower low here, though, does tell me that, and again agrees with everything I've been seeing, which is that there is still upside potential in Aerodrome. Like if you were to put money in it today, you probably would see a return on it within the next few days. But we are getting to a point with it where it's probably going to need a more sustained cool down period. I don't see how that cannot happen. But the one thing it does have going for it is the very healthy structure where it's not blowing off or anything like that. So I think the corrections with AERO are probably not going to be that dramatic. I mean, we just saw a 33% correction. I'm not seeing like a 70% drop or anything like that in the cards. There's nothing in the chart development that would lead me to think that would happen. So a lot of these down wicks are being bought on every dump very quickly. So this is a very healthy asset. Okay, here's Velodrome, which, I mean, what's with these assets? These things just look strong. These are some of the strongest charts I've seen. Look at this cup and handle formation in a larger flag. This looks very strong. And, VELO has put in, let's see what kind of measured move we can put in for VELO. It's already put in an 8x. It's nothing compared to AERO, but strong asset. It's repeating this pattern. This was a cup and handle. So I'm expecting, just looking at this chart, I don't even have to see anything. I'm expecting upward movement. You can just see it. You can feel it. You can tell. I told you a big move's probably coming, and then I turned on the Bollinger Bands. I haven't looked at this. This is a 12-hour Bollinger Bands. This is the first time I'm looking at it. It's squeezing. Let's go to the daily. Starting to squeeze on the daily. But look, we penetrated the upper Bollinger Band, got sent back down, and look at, we held the median line. That's bullish. So starting to close on the 12-hour, looking like it's going to go up. And I would say, yep, upward movement is the most likely outcome for Velodrome. Remember how AERO was squeezing with its HMAs? Well, same thing is happening with VELO. And VELO managed to get above its 10-day HMA, managed to get above its 50-day HMA, and it's struggling right now, but it's looking like it wants to get above its 20-day HMA. So if we can get all these sorted out nicely and they curl back up, man, that's, again, these are not as lagging as SMAs. I think we could see potentially another thing like this, another somewhat parabolic move. It won't be as dramatic as this one because of diminishing returns most likely, but I think, just off the top of my head, we could see this hit the 75-cent zone, which would represent about a 3x from here. I think that's definitely a possibility. This just looks super bullish. RSI and stochastic RSI are looking bullish to me right now, like they've just found a bottom in the 50s and ready to go back up and test the top of the range. And just like with AERO, I mean, the chart development is very healthy. We have yet to penetrate the oversold region, or overbought region. I get the words mixed up. And we've cooled off, we're in my hold zone on the beam risk metric. So look, I don't even think I need to look at any other indicators. I mean, I just look at Velodrome and I see very bullish formation here. And I think everything's going to be screaming bullish with this one, as in addition to Aerodrome. So I guess the question is, which is the better hold? Aerodrome or Velodrome, or should you hold both? Let's take a look. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that Aerodrome has drastically outperformed Velodrome. The one exception being this period in late March. Otherwise, it's kept pace with it at most times. But now the question is, it's kind of interesting because it looks like Aero Velo topped in March, and now Aero Velo is going back up again. But is this just a bear market rally? Let's turn on some indicators and see. It would appear so. So you can see that we are approaching the Gaussian channel, which is concave down and green. And Aero may outperform Velo for a couple days, but then what if Velo takes off and puts in a 3 to 4x move? I don't think Aero is going to do that. So while I think Aero was the better hold here, it feels like there's more upside potential with Velo compared to Aero. So that's something maybe to keep in mind as you press forward in this market, if you're going to hold these assets. And I unfortunately don't hold either one. I have rules about which assets I'll hold, and one of them is to hold low inflation tokens. Yeah, stupid me. I probably should have picked some up on both of these because I saw them. I made the videos when they were down here. So case of my stubbornness really getting in the way. But, I'm rooting for you guys. Look at this double top. Yeah, this is a bearish sign for Aero versus Velo. So, yeah, in conclusion, I feel like both Aerodrome and Velodrome are going to do well in the next few days, possibly even to weeks. Depends, of course, on what Bitcoin does. Nothing's going to do well if Bitcoin doesn't do well. But Bitcoin is like over 71K as I'm talking about this. So, but I think like if you were looking for an entry, I'd probably go for Velodrome over Aerodrome if you believe in Velo at this point, just because there seems to be more upside ROI potential from Velodrome looking at this chart than there does from Aerodrome. But honestly, can you go wrong holding either one? I think it'd be responsible to hold a hedge, maybe be more, if you're a new holder, maybe a little bit more toward Velo, or maybe you want to take some Aero profits and rotate them into Velo if you don't have to worry about taxes too much. Not financial advice. These are just my thoughts off the top of my head. And yeah, so congratulations. If you watched my very first video on Aerodrome and Velodrome, I definitely saw the potential in these assets, and it is playing out. And I have no idea why I didn't buy any. Oh well, joke's on me, not on you. You bought it, right? Thank you for joining me in the crypto simulation today. Again, I'm the Gaussian Snake. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It helps with reach. It helps with me getting it out there. I know it's annoying to hear all YouTubers say that over and over again, but it's true. If you like, you comment, and you subscribe, it does help with my reach. And also, please join my free Telegram group, the Snake Pit. I think we have more Aerodrome and Velodrome holders in there, probably than any other place than the official Aerodrome and Velodrome communities. Maybe even just as many in some cases. I don't know. But that is probably my most popular video was on Aerodrome and Velodrome. So I try to do regular updates, despite the fact that I don't hold this token and really don't have much of an intention of holding it at this point. But I recognize the value in holding it. like I said, I could have picked some up much cheaper, and I didn't. So yeah, I'd love to see you in my Telegram group. Come say hi and talk about Aerodrome and Velodrome and why you're excited about the Base ecosystem. I'm bullish on Base. Most people I know are, and for good reason. There's a lot of great stuff being built on it. So, all right, till next time. Catch you later. Bye.